Hey guys, Palsteron here, and today let's talk about my day 1 update for the Mercenary Crossbow build, which is now basically a Mortar cannon build. Now, we're now 1 day and a few hours in, and me and my community have been testing quite a bit of different crossbow builds. As I said, I'm kind of going in blind. I'm either going Tactician or Mercenary. For now, I have settled on Tactician. And I gotta say, Mortar cannon is completely bonkers. I thought going in, they would penalize this skill like crazy. They would give it like an absurd less damage multiplier. But funnily enough, it is only 50% less damage, and it has a 100% increased cooldown recovery rate. And remember that it is auto-targeting, and you can have multiple of them at the same time. As well as that, while the mortar cannons are shooting, you can already explode them with explosive shot, which is exactly what we're doing with explosive grenade. We started off with gas grenade, but honestly, there's no reason not to just do explosive grenade. It's straight up just more damage. And so far, it has been absolutely destroying both the game and my FPS. I'm currently at level 72. Let's get into the game. Actually, already level 73. So I quickly want to show you a map. Now, I don't know if this one is already cleared, but I'll just very briefly go over everything. Maybe I have a little bit of options. Yeah, so I'm going to leave the breach over there. Okay, there is actually a breach over there. All right. And there's a little bit of stuff after that. So basically the way it works is I have my mortar cannon here supported with explosive grenade. We'll explain all of that, but I'm basically putting them down and then shooting explosive shot, which is going to pop all the grenades that come out of it. So maybe not the best breach here, but yeah, this is kind of how it looks like. The grenades are getting shot from the grenade, which makes it a lot less awkward. Now there's a lot of weapon swap stuff I can do at some point, but right now, yeah, I'm just kind of feeling the build, and as you can see right here, we're absolutely destroying. If you're wondering why the hell is my explosive shot so fast shooting, the answer is because of one of the supports that we're using. Now, do note that there's currently a weird bug with the reload on explosive shot that I will have to talk about a little bit more in this video, but it will hopefully be fixed. But with one of the new supports and 1 point on the passive tree, you can actually circumvent it quite a bit. But yeah, this is what it's going on. The bosses, I haven't really done any hard bosses right now. Right now, I'm just going through the campaign. I'm just doing maps, right? So I'm putting down the mortar cannons and I'm just shooting. Right now, I have, this weapon right now. Yeah, as you can see, most of this is SSF. The only thing I did buy is this Idol of Uldern. And yeah, this grenade bow I did buy, this grenade crossbow. There's several grenade crossbows that have +1, and those are really the ones that you want. Let's just move a little bit more. Maybe we can find a enemy. Now, you will see that enemies don't really move much once they get hit, and that is because everything around me is pinned, which is thanks to the Tactician mastery, thanks to the Tactician Ascendancy. For example, I just left this dude here real quick. I have this reload bug again, so there you go. This can happen if you have a offhand set up, but yeah, like I said, we're gonna talk more about it. You place down your mortar totems, you attack, you move, and so on. I don't think there is actually a boss in this map, unfortunately, but yeah. So you put down the mortar, you go boom. We have to talk about a lot of things here. One of the things we definitely need to talk about is the totem node on Tactician, because there's some people who really like it and some people who really don't. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's start at the basics. Mortar cannon is a ballista that also carries a grenade, which means it scales with both increases to grenade damage and increases to ballista damage, making it very well set up on the passive tree, because the more specialized a damage type is, usually the more you get per point. So for example, something that would just say projectile damage would just be 8 to 10% increased damage, but if it says grenade damage, it's like 12 damage, and ballista is even more fringe, so it's 15% damage. So you get more efficient points in general. What that also means is that, yeah, you can have some high damage effectiveness skills. Explosive grenade at level 20 plus goes over 800, even 900% damage effectiveness. And this does shotgun with additional projectiles. Now, in the past, scatter shot was not that good, but now we actually have multi-shot. And there's also multi-shot 2, which is 25% less damage only instead of 35. So that is very strong. Then we have Urgent Totems, which is an absolute game changer for this build. Currently, I do not have this cluster right here. So in some maps where there's, for example, lightning casters, they will kind of decimate my totems. I haven't failed the map yet, but that was a little bit annoying, not gonna lie. So eventually we're going to have a weapon swap with totems. That we will talk about that in a different video where we put all of that in so they don't die anymore. And yeah, then we have elemental armaments at the end. Now the 100% placement speed here is the difference between the build feeling good and not feeling good, so definitely put this as your fourth link. How the hell do you explode these explosive grenades though? Like, if we just real quickly remove this, explosive grenades is such an annoying skill usually. Now obviously I've increased detonation time, so usually with the detonate after 3 seconds, you can make it a little bit slower, right? But it has like this time, and then you have to kind of aim. But that is all done by the totem. It's all done by the totem. It's very intelligent, obviously, and it does it a lot better than you ever would. But we have to explode it somehow, and that is with explosive shot. Now, why do we not just reduce the duration of the explosive grenade so it explodes immediately? Because it costs you a support gem, it costs you a ton of extra points with the grenade detonation time here. You have to get the grenade detonation time here. And then you also probably can't take cluster bombs because it gives you the downside of increased detonation time. On this build, that is not a downside because we're exploding it. The detonation time just doesn't matter. Another huge step for this build was to realize that explosive shot damage just doesn't cut it compared to the grenades. Explosive shot is decent in terms of damage. It's good in terms of clear, but not with mortar cannon in the game. This is like a new game now. It is all about mortar cannon. How do you explode it? So that means explosive shot is now solely there to explode the grenades, which means you can put utility supports on it instead of damage, which is also huge. If we have a weapon swap, we can put damage on one of the weapons, and then on the other one we can have all the utility stats in the world. And for example, streamlined rounds is the biggest contribution to this playstyle. Supported skills have 50% more attack speed, which is such a feels good stat, but 60% less damage, so usually, I mean, just not very good. But it also loads 5 additional bolts, so instead of having 1, you have 6. It is incredible. It just feels so goddamn good. That together with the ammo conservation, which makes it so you have a 30% chance to not consume a bolt, which is stacks additively, as far as I know, with reusable ammunition. So that means that, yeah, that's straight up 60% chance, and you have the downside of the less reload speed, but you're not hitting that often. Then we have magnified area. Once again, we can take magnified area. We don't care about the less damage, but it gives you 45% in KOE. And then multi-shot is just to spread it out a little bit. This one is definitely debatable. Then we have oil grenade. I'm gonna be honest, I was really looking forward to going for the new curse, the elemental weakness, right? Which, if you look at the curse itself, it is now capped by how much intelligence you have. And I might still do that in the future, because it gives way much minus elemental resistance, but it needs so much int, and you need to level it up way higher, because GGG added a line here. Curse does not apply to enemies above level 72. If you go down, that goes to like 48 at level 9, for example. So don't even think about going for a low level one. This is now scaled behind you having probably 130 to 150 int in endgame, which might still be worth it for how good it is, but with my current gear level, which is almost SSF, it is simply impossible. So what we're doing is we're applying exposure with oil grenade, and we're getting a little bit of extra exposure with potent exposure. We're getting persistent ground for some extra duration, just for QL, and then also have multi-shot. Obviously multi-shot 2 would be better, but yeah, I don't really know. It's not there for damage. It's literally just there to apply. And then we have a Mirage Archer. This one is a little bit more awkward, and I'm playing around with it right now. So you see this green guy right here. It's just shooting, shooting, shooting. And I don't know if he actually has a cooldown on explosive grenade. I'm not 100% sure, because it seems like he's just going, 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 going. So I might have to try and abuse Mirage Archer a little bit more. Currently, it's a little bit annoying because you're very often dodging, and then you're kind of circumventing his cooldown, but so far it has been going very well. Explosive grenade, multi-shot, and elemental armaments. We'll see how that goes over time. And then Time of Need is just a really nice heal, and it also heals you off of curses and elemental ailments, and the less duration here makes it basically so the 11-second duration between blessings gets reduced to get that more often. As for the passive tree, I'm currently only spec'd into pin. Now, if you get your first point, I would personally just put it into a solid plan, or just don't care at all about it. I've been absolutely cruising, but I've only been taking immobilization pin up, but it really gets good. This helps you with heavy stun, electrocute, pin, and freeze. The only one of those you're going to do is heavy stun. which is okay, right? You can take it as a first point. It's not the end of the world. But then you get to here, and now it starts to shine. So if you don't know, heavy stun is extremely strong, right? But that works well on melee and well on heavy stun, on physical damage, because those have 50% more multipliers to heavy stun. But on pin, everything goes. So if you are able to pin with projectile damage and especially non-physical damage, that is extremely premium. And as well as that, you saw in the map, even casters didn't do anything, and that was because pinned enemies cannot perform actions. They just stand there, which is basically like if they were stunned or frozen. Now, as for banners, I think it might be a little bit too much investment, maybe later with some really good gear, but they did nerf the linger from 4 to 2 seconds, which is a really big deal. So I would not really get my hopes up for banners anytime soon. Maybe you can make it work. My third node will be a solid plan. As for what reservation I'm going for, not 100% sure yet. Trinity doesn't really work all that well because you have to hit yourself. The hits of your totems apparently do not work. Watch how I do it apparently doesn't work for totems. Now, Unleash Hell is Garbanzo. Let's talk about cannons ready. I heard a ton of different opinions today about this. I tried it. I absolutely hated it, just like in PoE1 Focus Ballista. If you have a playstyle where your totems are only there at single target, I love the idea, right? Focus Ballista, same in PoE1. But if you even have to clear a little bit with it, it's not very good. Very often what you'll see is I will run around, place the ballistas, and before I even start shooting, the grenades are already hitting, and then I can just keep moving. I don't want to attack, then they start attacking, and then I have to attack again. It feels very awkward, but people have very strong feelings about this node. It does give +1 totem. You will know very quickly if you like this. Spec into it, try it out, otherwise pay the 10,000 gold or whatever and get it back. Now, the node behind it is 15% more damage, technically, from the Mortar cannon, because you're probably not getting any other gained as. So that's cool, but it's not like a premium node or anything. Now, after I take Solid Plan, probably the last node I'm going to take is Polish Gear. I am planning to go full evasion. There is a archetype here where you can go armor with the defend with 200% of armor, and you can go glancing blows, right? Like I talked about this before the league started, where you go 0 evasion and you just go full armor. You go iron reflexes, right? That's all fine. But I personally think that just taking this and this is going to be better and going full evasion. Polished Gear is actually very underrated. 100% of evasion rating as extra ailment threshold. This is not your final evasion, so you're not getting 50,000 ailment threshold. You're getting like 5,000, which basically makes you immune to freeze, ignite, electrocute, shock, all of those things that are quite pesky in endgame, and people are trying to get that. If you compare that to most nodes on the tree, this is worth quite a bit. Now, other than that, let's talk about Mercenary real quick and a little bit of a doozy. So this node is quite strong, but relying on your weapon swap right now is a little bit weird, and I'll show you why. So there is currently a little bit of a bug going around. So for this test, I put my explosive shot on the first weapon and my totem only on the second weapon. You can see this right here. So used with weapon set 1, and then my mortar is only used with weapon set 2. This has its advantages, right? So for example, if you look at my passive tree and I swap, you can see that I currently am not doing anything, but I could be swapping around like 24 points if I wanted to, which is crazy, right? So I can get quite a bit of extra damage, and then on my weapon swap I can get stuff like defenses. So I can put down my totems, then quickly go back to explosive and have all my defensive nodes here. The problem is I will just tick it down. Now I have the chance to not consume bolts, but we're going to go to 0 in a second. And now I'm going to quickly swap to totems, and you just see that it doesn't reload. And that is because I swapped, and now technically the explosive shot is on the other weapon, so I would have to manually swap back. But if I click left click, it doesn't work, right? So I have to click the reload button manually. For some of you guys, this is not going to be a big deal, but for me personally, in like a brain off scenario, it is. But what I want to say with this is I'm still going to play like this. That's not really an issue, but if you are relying, if your whole build is relying upon it, and if you at some point choke for even a second, and you're like using 100 weapon swap points, all of a sudden it's like, what the hell? That is a lot more than like 24. So this payoff node right now, I don't know if this is intentional. I never really thought about whether this used to happen in the past, but I don't think it did. However, I did not try yet getting a second crossbow, it might actually work. If we say that explosive shot doesn't really matter in terms of damage, we can just, for example, put on a crossbow with no real damage and just a lot of attack speed. Now, if you don't know how you make it so it gets copied over, so right now I have my crossbow on both weapons, you actually just have to click on top of here and you have to right click. If you see this shadow, you know that they're on both. Nope, just tried it again with a different crossbow. It doesn't make any difference whether you copy it over. I mean, I can try it again. It shouldn't make any difference whether you copy it over or not. I can show you again. So I press E, I do it again, I go to 0. Like I said, in the map, this doesn't really happen all that much, but it can happen if you're not careful at all. So yeah, it happens either way. Now there's obviously a support later where you can reload 3 whenever you dodge, which is insane, and you're gonna use it, but it's like a lineage support, so at that point it's not gonna be an issue anymore, but just keep this in mind. As for gear, you might have noticed that I do not have this node spec and I still have 3 totems. Now +1 you get right here from Artillery Strike, and the other +1 you get from Idols of Uldren. If you didn't know, skills have +1 to limit, also works for totems. Do not, however, use Overabundance. This support gem is kind of weak, because it gives you 40% less skill effect duration, and Mortar Cannon already only has 8 seconds, which is a lot lower than most totems, so it's just not really worth it. So yeah, this is one of the better items in this build. Just going back to this real quick, on my crossbow, what matters is as much physical damage as possible, and second best is fire damage. Cold and lightning is like, whatever, but just get as much physical damage as possible, and then physical damage on the runes as well. This can change later, but right now it definitely doesn't. On the suffix, attack speed, very good, and then +2 bolts loaded, but attack speed is really the most important one. Other than that, I just have some random flat damage, which was very good while leveling, but not really all that necessary anymore. Try to cap your resistances. I think I might be capped at this point. Yeah, I'm almost capped. Chaos Res right now, I can't really afford. As you can see, I don't even have good implicits, but yeah, I just tried to get some resistances, try to get as much evasion as possible. This body armor, do not copy this. This body armor is garbage. You can get multiple thousand evasion on your body armor, and yeah. So all you have to know right now, only 20% movement speed. All you have to know right now is that our defensive layer will be full evasion with deflection, which means we're going to take all of these deflection nodes right here, the percentage evasion rating, which we're also going to go over here with glancing deflection rating is extra evasion. We're going to talk about all of that once I'm in higher tier maps. Right now, there's not really an issue. Pin is just completely carrying. People have also been asking what other Ascendancies they can play, because they are, for example, stuck on the Warrior and they want to play this. You can 100% play this on the Warrior. I actually think that Titan might be one of the best Ascendancies for this build, because of Hulking Form, 50% increased effect of small passive skills, and both grenades and ballistas and totems have extremely good small passives. And then other than that, you just go for crushing blows and either surprising strength or maybe the more life. I'm not really sure. But Titan is a really good choice. If you're trying Wordbringer right now, apparently the Ancestral Spirits are bugged. If whenever you're listening to this, that's not the case anymore. Wordbringer is also decent. If you are on Ranger and you want to play crossbows, Deadeye, you guys know the drill. You take this, extra projectile, Tailwind, probably Windward, and that's just that. Or maybe something with call shots, we'll see. But yeah, Deadeye you can also always go for. Other than that, it's getting a little bit iffy. One more thing on Witch Hunter, by the way. Your deflection rating actually scales from your whole evasion, not just your base evasion. I don't want to explain this too much. All you have to know is Sorcery Ward is a lot worse than we gave it credit for because of deflection. You can't really use it with deflection because the 35% less evasion also means 35% less deflection. Now you might say, oh, obviously, because it scales off of your evasion, but that's not how it works in Pure 2 normally. But if you know what that means, just know that Sorcery Ward is a lot weaker than I gave it credit for. Also, since we're now full totems and our totems are actually killing stuff, Zealous Inquisition doesn't really work. So one of the biggest issues with going Witch Hunter right now, even if you can go Weapon Master and get some crazy value out of it, is you would have to take Calling Strike, Decimating Strike, which is okay. But after that, you're really just, I mean, you're just kind of, I don't know, are you going to take 2 small points? Are you going to take Witchbane? You know? So all I'm saying is I'm a little bit concerned about Witch Hunter in general. Gemling Legionnaire, I haven't really tried myself. Maybe you guys did. But yeah, other than that, on the passive tree, the only thing you have to know here is increased damage is king. Everything that increases your damage, very good. Reduced attack speed, not as big of a deal as you might think, but yeah, just increased. Next, I'm going to go for these movement speed nodes, but I might also go more defensively. I'm currently pretty chilling, so we'll see. Currently, I have 1,300 life right here. I just realized that for the showcase, I hit my life. That was not intentional, my bad. But yeah, the artillery ballista nodes here are really good. I guess the only thing to note is before you have your second thingy here with right where we want them, you definitely don't want to take anything with immobilization build up, because if you're not pinning, like you're not naturally pinning right before you have that node, so all this increased damage against immobilization, all of that is pretty much useless. Now I think after image is very strong. I will eventually get both careful consideration and escape strategy most likely, and then we'll see. I kind of want to go down here to the movement speed, maybe grab this, but there is a very juicy deflect cluster right here as well. I will be thinking about this a little bit more. There's, like I said, still a chance I'll go Witch Hunter. Maybe I'll even completely forego deflect and I'll just go Sorcery Ward. Maybe Sorcery Ward is actually good enough. I don't know. Maybe I'm dreaming. Either way, the grenade nodes you want ASAP as well. As for leveling, the way I leveled was from level 1 to 5 is I used Crossbow auto attack with concentrated effect, and then I just went Contagion. And yeah, I just killed enemies that way, put Contagion on the enemy. It's going to spread to nearby enemies. It's not as good as the bow level 1 to 5, but I just wanted to play crossbows from the get-go. I didn't want a Mule character, so yeah. After that, I just grabbed a explosive grenade. You can do that from the get-go, by the way, but I grabbed an explosive grenade, and it is ridiculously strong early on. If you don't know how to use it, you basically throw it ahead of you, and then you walk, and then the mobs behind you follow you, because it has a nasty delay, I understand, but trust me, it is too good. Try to time the placement. It will completely destroy campaign. And then you get Incendiary shot later, which is quite decent ignite damage. Not as good as I thought initially before I talked about it as maybe being like really good during campaign. It's just okay. But then once I got gas grenade, yeah, it was a joke. Leveling just basically was I throw a gas grenade and then Incendiary shot explode. And that was what I did for a while until I got explosive shot. And when I got explosive shot, I just went explosive grenade, throw it, and then shoot the explosive grenade, right? With the explosive shot, just like I did later with the mortar totem. Now, the mortar cannon, you're getting at only level 41 because it's a level 11 skill, right? So I'm kind of giving you the progression here. I did not have time to sit down and really do a perfect guide right now, but this is how I leveled it, and this is how you do it. You can also follow what Havoc is doing over on Max Rule. I will link it down below in the description. It's a little bit different, but yeah, if you can't follow what I was saying right here, then do that. It has all the support setups or whatever, but if you've been following on stream, you know exactly what to do anyways. And once you get mortar cannon, well, what can I say? Exactly what we're doing right now. Mortar cannon, explosive grenade, and you yourself cast explosive shot. You definitely want to get 2-4 links on them ASAP, but at level 41 I had multiple. They're really handing them out now, so I don't think that's going to be an issue. Upgrade your crossbow, flat damage everywhere. Get as much fizz as you can, as much added fire, whatever you can get. But yeah, that's about all I got for now. I will link the current planner down below in the description, and I will be updating you guys as we go. And for people who will start the build later, I will have time to actually like flesh out a build and a planner with notes and everything. Right now I just have to kind of progress to keep up the curve and to keep giving you guys a little bit more content. But yeah, after the dust has settled, this build is fantastic so far. I'm absolutely having a blast. But yeah, hope you guys are having a good one as well. And if you have some tech that I missed, I haven't really looked at Reddit all that much. I haven't really looked at other streamers all that much. If you have any tech, then put it down below. But yeah, with that being said, since I still have a slogan, see you next time.